analysis itself. So is the analysis basically we are now. So we have today and tomorrow to actually conclude the training. So we are going to look at when you've moved in your data, you've coded your data, how do you go about analyzing your data? Now, I'm going to just focus on qualitative data today, so that tomorrow then we'll focus on quantitative data. Then on Saturday we'll conclude the training. So today, when we talk about, I know we've mentioned this severally. When we talk about qualitative rather, we are talking about data set that have to do with data that have to do with present or absence of an event, or a data set that have to do with nomination, that is that you nominate an event. So those are basically what we are going to be looking at today. So I'm going to open my data once again. I'm going to share my screen now. Laura, connect your mic, please. I guess you can see my screen now. So I'm going to open up a new data, the data we'll be working with. Yes. So this is actually an example of qualitative data. So when we talk about qualitative data, as I told you earlier, these are data sets that have to do with nomination, that you nominate something and the likes. So basically, now you have this kind of data. There are several things that you can run on this. One of the such is you can run chi-square. Then the next thing that you can also run this data too, you can run binary logistic on. Then you can also run even your risks, relative risks analysis on. So having having coded your data, transform your data, and do all of that. So the next thing that you do, if you want to, for example, now this, you have this kind of data. The first thing you want to do is to actually run. I think this was where we were last week. You want to run what we refer to as frequency. And I make mention to you that there are two ways that you can actually use to determine how your output is going to look like. The first thing is for you to go to sorry, let me close this. So one way is for you to there are two ways through which you can actually determine how your output you want your output to be arranged. One of the ways is to go to your data set. Just like I said, you can select and tell your data, you notice that it's always at default. Default, it will be on all cases. Then on if you now want to select the kind of output you want, then you have to click here on if condition is satisfied. I've mentioned this severally. Then you click on if. Then you move how you want, on what condition basis do you want your data to be classified. So you move your subject, you move your into this place. Sorry. So you move it here. Then you now say less or equals to 1. Remember, we already said that this what we are trying to do here, this particular this is classified 1 as 1 and 2. 1 and 2. So now I only want the result of the MDR. So all I have to do is to go to data, then I go to select, then if condition satisfied, then definition, then equals to less or equals to 1. Then I'll click on continue, and I'll click on OK. So automatically, this data set is going to select just only the cases for me. But this is not what I want. I actually want the data set to come out side by side. I want it to come out side by side. If I should go ahead and just run frequency, what the output is going to give me, to just give me the frequency for everybody. It will not categorize upon which the counting was done, upon what basis the counting was done. So if I want to do that, I have to reset this. And if I want it to come out side by side, what I can do is to come to split file. I've mentioned these two. Then there are two ways you can set compare group or organize output by group. But it's compare group that we want. So I can say compare group based on this case classification. So once I click OK, then automatically it will be in the head of this software. All the output that will be coming will be based on that. So how do that come about? Now let's see here. I want to run frequency. I've also told us when you want to run frequency, you go to analyze, you go to descriptive statistics, then you go to frequency. Now, what I want to run frequency on is basically all this. I want to run frequency on this. I want to run frequency on this. Then, so I also want to add this to it. Then I'll move this here. Then I want frequency table to be displayed. Then statistic, I'm not looking for any other thing here. Since they are not continuous data, this will not be applicable. So you just click on continue. Under chart, you might decide to say you want bar chart, you want pie chart, but histogram is not going to be relevant here. So I don't really want any plot. So I'll just leave this to remain on none. Then I'll click on continue. Then format, I'm not changing anything. So I'll click on continue. So once I click on continue, automatically it will be your case summary. Now you see the way it's coming out. It's telling you that MDR, those that have contact with DRTV, these are this. And no, I've actually done all of this in our next class. So it will bring out what I just want you to get here is that all this output is going to come out in like this. But one thing you must now note is that when you now want to start your analysis, for example, you want to run chi-square, because if you should go ahead and run chi-square like this, you are not going to see any result. So you still have to go back, except if you are working on only one aspect. Let's say you are working on only the control, then that's only when, meaning that even when you come here, this is select data you are going to, not split data. But if you want to start the analysis, you have to come and reset this, because if you don't reset it, all your output, all your analysis output are going to be coming out in tools, which will not get the real information of what you need. So now, what do you do? How do you do? You come here, you click on analysis, then you come to descriptive statistics. We are going to chi-square now. You go to analysis, go to descriptive statistics, then you click on analysis, then click on descriptive statistics, then you click on crossbar. Crossbar. So once you click on crossbar, this is now our dependent variable and independent variable. Usually, you make sure that your dependent variable, which is the MDR or no MDR, will be on the row. Then all these other factors that you list will be, you can let it to be on the column. Now come here. Under the exact, you are not changing anything here. So now under the statistic, that's where you will click on. You can see chi-square. Then another thing too, you click on risks. This is where you see the odd ratio and the like. So basically, there are only two things we are clicking here. We are clicking the chi-square, then we are clicking the risks, which is where we get our odd ratio and 95% confidence interval. So then the next thing is your column. Then you click on expected. You click on no here. Then you click on row. You click on column. Then you click on total. So what this means is that the percentage will be calculated based on this. So you click on OK. Then if you want your bars to come up, you can click this. But I'm not interested in the bar, so I'll click on OK. So once you click on OK, this is what will come up. You can see it will first and foremost tell you the case summary. Then if you now come down, you're going to see here under the MDR TB, then the non-MDR. Remember that this is the what we are using to compare. So here under the, and I want you to also note that basically for chi-square, for you to determine odd ratio and relative risks, and also to determine what's it called? To also determine to determine 95% confidence interval, it has to be a 2x2 table. Now, what we mean by 2x2, this is 2 by 2. This is MDR, no MDR. Yes, no. So it has to be a 2x2, a 2x2 contingent table. So for you to actually have that, then remember what we said in our when we're dealing with the theoretical aspect. Remember we said that for you to be able to use chi-square, the minimum value that have to be here have to be 5. So looking at this now, you can see that this does not meet up with the requirement for you to run for you to actually run what we refer to as chi-square. So in this case, you will run is Fisher exact test that you are going to be looking at. So you can see here, this is the Fisher exact test. So this is actually what we are going to be picking. So here, because 0 is here, which is not to 5, then is Fisher exact test that you will use in this case. So then after that, we'll move to the next aspect, which is the odd ratio. So when we are talking about risk assessment, it's actually odd ratio. Now this is the odd of big contact with TB to be known is this. So if no is this, then yes, we know that yes will actually be will be more. So this is the value, the odd ratio. Then this is the lower confidence interval. Then this is the upper confidence interval. Then we move to the next table too. Then you can see here the same thing apply. This is not also up to 5. So it's also Fisher exact that we are going to be looking at. So the same thing also apply here. Then in this case, you can see here, you notice that here it was only known, there was no yes. The reason is because there was no value for 0. You know, odd ratio will always be calculated where there are value in every box. So in this case, consider the odd for no is this, while the odd for precious, for those that are that have that were previously treated for TB, can see the odd of having MDR is actually more in those that were previously treated than those that were not previously treated. So we see the lower limit, then we see the upper limit. Then we move to missed dose. You can see that the same thing applies here. The no too, because it is also Fisher exact, because we also have a 0 in one of the box here. So let's move down. Then the last one is the cavity. The same thing also apply here, because we equally do not have, we also have is also less than 5. So meaning that for this particular statistic, it's Fisher exact test that we are supposed to use. Now, but when you move down to the gene, what's it called? To the gene expert, can see that equal numbers were found for both high and low in both MDR and non-MDR. So in that case too, the chi-square here will be 0 because they have the same value. So you can calculate chi-square for something that is 0 in this case, and the odd ratio too will also not be applicable. So that's how you run your chi-square. So you go to analyze, you go to descriptive, then you go to crossbar. So you move in your data, then you come to exact, you don't click anything there. Then you come to statistics, you check out chi-square, then you check out risks. If you are measuring risks, then you can leave these two, or you also check it. Then you click on OK. Then you have your output. So basically, that is how you do that. Now, another kind of analysis too that you can run on the on this kind of data is to run what we refer to as binary regression. Now, to run binary regression, you go to analyze, then you go to regression, then you come to binary logistic regression. Now, the dependent variable here is this subject definition, which is MDR or non-MDR. Then these are the covariates. The covariates in this case now is we have this, then we have this, then we have this, then we have this. Then you move them into this. Now, what you do, there are usually you leave this as enter, but in some cases there are some kind of modeling that you'll be doing that you may have to check. Now, before we even come here, now for you to come to actually do logistic regression, you must have run chi-square, run basic other like what we refer to as bivalence analysis. Now, once you have run univariance analysis first, then you run bivalence analysis. Now, univariance analysis is just your normal frequency and the rest. Now, percentages and the rest. While your bivalence analysis, when you are, for example, comparing like the chi-square that we just did just now, then if the value, the p-value you have gotten in those conditions are statistically significant, then those that are statistically significant, you will now move them into logistic regression, depending on the kind of analysis you are doing, whether binary, whether the the data is qualitative or not. So since we are dealing with a qualitative kind of data, then we're going to be using binary regression. And the reason why we are using binary regression is because we are looking at only MDR and not MDR, only two. So if you are looking at more than two, then you cannot use binary. We will not be talking about maybe multinomial and all of that kind of regression. So now the next thing you have to do, you have to come and tell this software that what you are doing are actually they are what they are categorical covariant. So automatically this thing already see this as statistic for as a categorical covariant. When we say categorical data, I already told you categorical data is the kind of data that we have to do with yes or no, MDRO, not MDRO, present or absent, male or female, those kind of data. So all of them are actually what's it called? They are actually binary. So now here you actually determine upon which are you going to be compared. Is it the first or the last? Now, for example, now for this previous treatment, we have yes or no. So if our basis of analyzing is first, then you click on last. Sorry, if our basis is the last one, then you make sure it's last. But if it's first, then you have to also change it to first. But we are not changing anything yet, so I will continue. Then the next one is save. What do I want to save? I want to save the group membership. Then I also want to save. I also want to check for probably which other thing would I want to check for? I think group membership. Okay, I just put probabilities too, but it's not really necessary. So I'll click on OK. Now other option, and I'll click on. Now you must click on this confidence interval, else you will not see any output. So you click on this, which is very, very important. Then you may want to also check this humorous Lemosio goodness of fit. Then you click on OK. For me, I think there's something I will just remove this probability. Then I'll click on OK. Then you click on continue. So you can see that it has run our test for you. That shows us there is no missing. Then we come, you can see that it's telling us that MD arrow is 0, while no MD arrow is 1, the own variable coding. Now we can see here now, these are just the different things that we see there. The high here is 66, the low is 30. This is like a frequency table. Then the median is 36. No is this, yes is this no, just in that format. Then we'll now move further to check the classification table. So now you can see here that the this variable in the equation, we don't really need that. Then we continue. Now these are the different score of all the these are the scores of each of these variable in the model. So this score this, this score this, this score this. So it means that missed doses is actually had the highest score, then followed by previous treatment, then followed by cavity in the chest, then followed by contact with those that had a DROTB. So all these other were not relevant. Gene expert was not relevant in the model. So let's go down. Now, the next most important table is actually this table. So this is the next most important table. Now you can see here, this is our odd ratio. But here you can see this is the value that is given here. Then this is our previous treatment. You can see that here is not statistically significant, but this is highly significant previous treatment. You can see the odd ratio here. Then you can see the lower limit, then you see the upper limit. Then missed doses too. You can see that here it did not come out to be relevant too. Then cavity, you can see cavity was not also statistically significant. So in this model, the only one that came out to be statistically significant is actually missed doses. So it shows that missed doses is actually like single most important variable in this model. So that is basically how what you do for binary regression. So to run binary regression, you go to analyze, you go to regression, then you click on binary regression if you are dealing with two. Then if you are not dealing, if you are dealing with more than two, then you go to what's it called? You go to multinomial. But here we are only dealing with two. So go to analyze, go to regression, then you go to binary regression, then you put in your dependent variable will be here, while your independent variable, these are your independent. This actually determine if you are going to have this. So this is dependent, this is independent. Then you do every other thing in the model, then you have your output. So I'm going to stop here and take questions if there's any question at this point. So any question? Hello.
I have a question.
Okay, go on.
Hello?
Yeah, I can hear you. I can hear you.
Okay. The PDF step by step, what to click and all of that. Because while you were going on with the class,
Mm.
sometimes on this next kind of hands, when you say click on this, I'm not seeing anything, but I can hear you say it. I don't know what you're doing. So
It's
I
actually
just
on
want
the
to know that.
PDF. It's yeah, it's on the
Eh,
PDF. It's on the PDF
okay.
that I'm going
Then
to
the thing
share. Okay. What did you say?
okay. So that like when you just while you were analyzing the chi-square results, in
Yes.
fact, the binary uh, stuff, it was everything I got because I don't know how to explain this. Like for example, whether it is significant or not, I do not know why or how it is significant.
Okay.
I just know something is figures, points, something. So that is the major point. Some of the in what to select, put in boxes, and all
Mm.
covariance, non-dependent, and that I don't know how I can catch to know what is not left. I don't know whether you understand.
Okay. Okay. If I get your question correctly, that how do you first time the first one was you were not seeing what I click. That will be taken care of when I send um, the slide. So that being said, then in the issue of knowing whether something is statistically significant or not, then we're going to I will share that slide. I will share my slide now. Sorry, I will share my screen now. I guess you can see my screen now. So let's go to the parts of the chi-square. Now, this is example. This is an example. Now, please, can we mute our mic, please? So, like I was saying, this is an example. You've just run your chi-square. Then this was the table you saw. Now, what this means is that out of the total people that are MDR, which is 68, 58 do not have cavity in their chest, while 14 had cavity in their chest. While among the non-MDR, out of the 68, we are having the same equal number. 65 do not have cavity, then 3 have cavity. Now, based on the percentages, now it means that 79.8% of those that were MDR do not have cavity, while 20.6 had cavity. 95.6 do not have cavity of non-MDR, while 4.4 had cavity. Now, that is the summary table. Now, to now come to the statistical, the chi-square aspect, you can see that this is the chi-square value. This is actually the chi-square value. The person chi-square. With this one now, the chi-square value is 8.134. Then, now you know that this is 2 by 2 table. The degree of freedom is 1. How is it 1? You know, there's a formula where, there's a formula where we have n, degree of freedom is usually n bracket n minus 1. So n in this case now is 2. Then 2 bracket 2 minus 1. So it will be 2 bracket 1. So in this case now we have 2. But you know that, sorry, it's supposed to actually be n minus 1. Sorry. So it's n minus 1. So which is 2 minus 1. So if you do that, then you have 1. So that was how we have degree of freedom to be 1. Then this is the p-value. This asymmetry significant two-sided. And I told you, except specifically stated, all your p-value must be taken at two-sided. So in this case now, you're going to see that we have this is 0.004. So this 0.004 is actually the p-value. And you know that the rule of thumb is that if p-value is less than 0.05, it is statistically significant. While if it's greater than 0.05, it's not statistically significant. So looking at the chi-square and also the p-value, now the interpretation here now is that there is a statistically significant difference, or you can actually say there's a significant higher number of people with cavity in MDR than those in non-MDR. Now, using the word statistically significant, that's when the chi-square now coming. But you can just say, yes, there's a higher number of people with cavity in MDR patient than those that are not in MDR. That is just, but when you now say statistically significant, then you have to quote these two values, the chi-square value and the p-value. So I don't know if that is clear. Peace.
It's not though. My mic went off as
Okay, okay, just give me 1 minute. I will retake that.
I couldn't hear what you were saying at the. So I'm still looking for a p-value.
So now this is what I meant. Okay, please, I want to be sure. Which aspect do you want me to retake? Hello, peace.
Yes, I wanted to understand the significant and not significant. So probably you want to mention what values exactly you are looking at when you are comparing, because I don't know what I don't know what
Okay,
values
okay,
I
okay, okay,
you know.
okay, okay. All right, I get now. Now, the value that usually determine significant and not significant is it varies depending on the kind of analysis. Now, if you are looking at chi-square, the value that you look at to determine if it's significant or not significant is this value, this asymmetry significant two-sided. But if you are looking at regression, yes, you will look at that too. But in addition, you'll be more concentrated on the odd ratio. So in this issue of chi-square now, the two most important value here is this value if it's a chi-square, or if it's a Fisher exact test, is this value, is this 0.08. That's the p-value. Now, for chi-square, this value, which is the chi-square value, this one that have a on top, small a on top, is the chi-square value. Then this the corresponding p-value is 0.04. So this is the value you look at to actually determine if it's statistically significant or not. Is that clear now?
Yes, that's clear.
Okay. Uh, Laura, connect your mic. Any other question from any further question? Because from tomorrow we are looking at qualitative data, because that's actually where we are going to dwell more. Quantitative data rather. So any question?
Well, in the absence of good evening, everyone.
Yeah, good evening.
I actually joined late. It's not starting. Mine is in form of a plea. If probably we can get what was it called? The past slides from the past
Oh,
2 to 3 days.
all the slide. Okay. I will just what I'm going to do,
Up to today.
I will
But-
repost all of them on the group so that
Okay, because that will actually go a long way for some of us that have been missing classes.
okay.
Understand? You
All right.
understand? If we could digest these slides, then probably, either for opportune to get to you to probably ask you 1 or 2 questions later, or
Of course,
probably
I will
the
the group will be open. So even after
because
the class, the group will still
it's
be open.
really been tedious during the festive period. I've not really been able to. I remember like 2 or 3 of the classes I was on transit from one, you understand? So there
I
was no
do.
how to actually listen to some of the lectures. So please, if we can get the slides, we really appreciate it.
Okay. No, no problem. I'll do that.
All right. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Sir, also, is it possible for us to get the recording of Monday, Tuesday, and today's lecture on the WhatsApp group?
What I'm going to do now, after now, I'm going to send the record from the very first day. So to this point, meaning that the only record I will be owning you guys, it will be only two, that of
That,
tomorrow and then that of for Saturday. Then I
that,
also provide all the slide, even the one that I have taught and the one that I have not taught. so that we know
Okay,
that
sir.
I'm not owing you guys any material after this after our Saturday. The only thing I'm owing is explanation on the WhatsApp group after the training. So like I said, your group is actually fortunate. Most likely, maybe from the next group, we may not have time for interaction like this because we're actually preparing, trying to make the thing to run on autopilot. So once you pay, automatically to just migrate you to already prepared record. Then you create your login. Then you attend the class. You take the quizzes. Then once you pass, we'll get your certificate for you. But it's not even this the examination that is our, it's not the main thing. It's just the skill, the ability
Yeah.
for you to get the skill. So after you finish your class, then you also be migrate to a community where you keep interacting with other people that have attended the class too. So any question, that's actually the best way to learn. So you learn among your peers and the like. So we are, although we are still working on, we are trusting God to, the website should be up and running soon. Although we are still considering probably those that have attended class in the past, although you already have access to all the record, but that is going to be a more structured kind of training. So we'll give you guys consideration. Maybe just may not have to pay so much. Maybe just a token. Then you have, is a life access. So you have
Mm.
a lifetime access to the platform. Then you can always go there at any time you are. And it's not just only going to be a SPSS. We are bringing a whole lot of other training on board too, on research, on the systematic review, on meta-analysis, on literature review, how to research grant writing and all the like. So we are trusting God that that will come on board soon. And by the grace of God, we are not people that are preparing this, like not just people that are people that actually have industrial experience. If you see my screen, you see that it's a center I'm working on one client's work or not, or the like when we start those that started this class, they will notice that the screen that came up just now was a project that I'm working on, a PhD project, not even in Nigeria, outside the country that I'm working on. So it's a skill that I know that once you are really able to understand it, you will not be stranded even when you leave Nigeria or anywhere. It's data science is actually the is like the oil of the future. So, but you need to understand the basis before you can move into the other sector, artificial intelligence, AI, machine learning, and the rest. But if you don't understand this basis, you won't really have, you won't appreciate those other aspects. Me, I'm still learning. It's not like I've also finished learning. I'm still paying for courses too to learn more because the industry is evolving. So that's just the truth. So I will encourage you guys, don't just stop now after this training. Keep devour the material that you can get as much as possible. If you are buoyant enough, try to get your hand into other related courses because this is a pin in data science, just like it's an introduction in data science, just to help you do some a little something of such because data science is so broad that nobody can even can exhaust it. But the only
Mm.
thing, the aspect try and know it very well so that you become a good authority in
That's
that area. So that's just it. So I believe that I have at least what I intend doing. All the people that have attended this course so far, we are planning, or even before that site came up, trying to create intelligent a ground group so that all of you will migrate all of you to that group. Then you keep interacting. Then when the website come on screen, then we also notify you guys there. So
a good one.
yes. So what we that is what we will just look at today, the qualitative aspect of this work. But the main work we are going to be looking at is actually at the um,
Quantitative.
The quality, no, the qualitative. This is just the qualitative. The quantitative is actually the broad aspect of the work, because that's actually when we'll be talking about parametric and non-parametric, all those different table that we shown in the other classes. That's where we are going to apply them to know, okay, where do you use a T student test, where do you use ANOVA, where do you use a no parametric test, and where do you use parametric test and the like. So we'll continue tomorrow. Then on Saturday we'll wrap up things. Then we'll proceed from there, God helping us. So I
Amen.
want to thank you. So after this class now, before I forget, I will just quickly go and harvest the links and and also the slides. Then I'll put it for you guys on the group so that you can look through.
Okay.
So if there is no further question, then we'll bring the class to a close.
All right. Thank you very much from this
Then,
end.
yes.
Have a good
Thank
night.
Yeah, thank you.